The recording is starting right about now. Okay, just driving. Okay, so let's start this. Okay, so we're looking at the May June 2020. Now, please know that it's a 1 hour 30 paper, 1 hour 30 minutes paper that you'll be writing tomorrow, not 2 hours. Okay, so it means you have to manage your time. Now, the good thing is we've looked at the specimen paper. That gives us an idea of the kind of exam we'll be expecting. But then again, it's not the whole picture, because I've seen Cambridge, I've seen them, you know, time and time again, full of surprises. And what, as much as possible, we're trying to avoid tomorrow is to come up from the hole without having any form of surprises. Yes, most of you have done very, very well in your paper 2 but that is not over. It's not over, right? For us to be certified with our A star, you know, then we have to put in some effort in our paper 1 as much as possible. So let's look at this. You know, that this is an idea. Let's look at this, right? Let's look at this. So I'm just going to dive into question 1, and as as our culture is, we'll look at a question and then we'll look at where it's coming from the textbook. So that gives us, you know, we're not just answering just a past paper, but then again, we're using it as a base, right, for solving questions that pertains to on how to tackle issues on this. Okay, now the 2020 Olympics Games, right, is producing a database to show there was a problem transcribing. Let's see. Okay, the school is fine. Okay, let's just go ahead. So the 2020 Olympic Games Committee is producing a database to show winners in a cycling event. It is important that the correct data type is used in each of the fields. Data types. Okay, data types. Chapter 7. System life cycle is all over system life cycle. And we've seen this trend, right? So we can now come to a conclusion that we should expect question from chapter 7. Very, very important. So that is 1. So we are definitely seeing questions from chapter 7. We don't need to conjure a voodoo or something. No, we don't have to do that, right? So chapter 7. Now, under chapter 7, we have the analysis phase, the design phase. Our focus is on the design phase. But you're wondering, sir, this looks like, you said, Jairo, this looks like a database question. I know. In chapter 18 is the database, okay? And it's just showing you the steps on how to, as much as possible, import your CSVs, create those data types. But we need to know what those data types are, and then create relationships, carry out
Professor,
criteria. Yeah, talk to me.
Eu queria fazer uma pergunta.
I didn't get that. I said what?
Ele não tá entendendo. Eu queria fazer uma pergunta.
Okay. Okay, that saves us that stress, right? Okay. Now, it is important that the correct data type is used in each of the fields. Now, I was saying something about the chapter 7, right? The design phase. And then again, before I was interrupted, I was talking about chapter 18, which is database, as much as possible. And it's just a series of steps on how you can perform calculations, create your report, create forms, create your queries as much as possible. But to actually to have an understanding of our data type, right? This is where we have to look at those data types. And now you see that in design phase, you're going to see the file structure, talking about you creating your tables. Then you see the design phase as much as possible, where you have your data type, right? And we have a lot of them. So let's start with, let's start from the ascending order, right? From the simplest. So we have, so we have character, then we have text. And what are text? Text are strings of characters. Then we have Boolean, and the Booleans are your yes or no, sometimes denoted as Y or N. And then we have attachments as much as possible. Then you have numeric. Okay. Now in the numeric, you have it divided into the following. We have the numeric integer, the numeric decimal. In Access, you see it as double. Okay. Then you have your numeric date and time. Then you have the numeric currency. I think currency for date and time. So whichever one. Right? I'm just trying to put it the way it is on the textbook. Okay. So now we have an understanding and a base for this. And of course, for your assets, it's seen as short text and long text. But this is the theory aspect. So we don't need to boggle yourself with short text and long text. They are just text. And what are text? For text in database, they comprise of what your alphanumeric as much as possible. Okay, so we have a base for this. Now take the most important data type for each of the following fields. So we have athlete name. Okay, obviously that's a text, right? Gold medal, Y or N. What data type is it? What do you think is the data type? Well, if you know the answer, you can just unmute and tell me.
Text.
No. Because Boolean return just two values, right? It's either a yes or a no, a Y or an N, right? So gold medals. Did this in the Olympics committee? Did this show the cycling event? So were there gold medals? Yes or no? So that is Boolean, right? So age. What does age falls under? What is that type for age? Okay. Yes. If you know the answer, you can just unmute and just tell me.
Numeric.
Yes, it's numeric, right? As much as possible. Then we have name of country. Okay. For the name of country, what name of country? South Korea, Brazil, China. Obviously, that falls under text. Okay. All right. Let's look at the B part. A report has been produced that shows the male gold medal winners from the past 3 Olympic Games. A report, okay, has been produced. Now, write down 6 of the formatting features that has been used in the report. Okay, let's look at from the chapter. Now, we should be able to see that in, just want to be sure. I think layout or document production. Okay, I think that is chapter 19 is presentation, chapter 18 is database. So I think chapter 14, I want to be sure as much as possible. Chapter 14 or chapter 15. So let me just scroll down to it. Chapter 13. But chapter 13 should be for, let me check. I think we can also see this for, although major on creating tables, but You should be able to see some formatting features on, let me see, you can see it here. Okay. Okay. Nope, let me see. Definitely chapter 14. Okay. Yes, chapter 14. So we can see a lot of them here. Font size, font face. Now, these are your font face, what you call your font type, right? Still the same thing. Your font size talks about the size of, don't forget, they are measured in points as much as possible. They are measured in points. Okay, so right here, although this is part of the creating of styles, but then it has some of the formatting features we are looking for. We have for underline, we have for center line. Now this right here is for center line. We have for underline. We have for bold, italics, subscript, superscript, right? Now this is to decrease the text to increase the text size, or talking about your font size, decreasing the font size, increasing the font size. This is to change the style of the text to either uppercase, lowercase, to capitalize each one. This is to clear formatting, the text color, a highlighter, the orientation of the text, 3D text, etc., etc. Okay. Then, of course, here we have for listing, bulletin, numbering, and we have other lists as well. 4 kinds of alignment, sorting, and here is to remove, to check to remove page breaks or section breaks. All right. Okay. And let's go back to the question. So we have an idea based on how we can actually solve this, right? So we have a press release, mountain bike competition. Let's see what the question is asking us to do. Write down 6 of the formatting features that have been used in the report. So what are those formatting features? Those are the ones I've talked about: bold, italics, underline, okay, text color, highlighter, subscript, superscript, bulletin, numbering, okay, uppercase, lowercase, as much as that. So let's look at this. So the first thing I can see here is, let's talk about the first one. It's bolded, right? That's the first one. 6 of the features is bolded. Okay. It's centered align. Okay. It's highlighted, text highlighter. It's superscript. What else am I missing? Okay. Now be careful of the text. Do we have an italics? Okay. Beijing. think this is italics. And B has to be straight. Okay, but it's fine. This is indented, right? Then this is a decimal, right? This is a decimal. Okay, so let's go ahead. All right. Is there anything I'm missing, guys? I think is it up to 6? I wasn't keeping scores. So it's up to 6. Are there some things I've not said? All right, sorry about that. I just had to attend to something. So we're back. So is there anything I've missed in this as much as possible? Is there anything I've missed? Are they all complete? Have I said up to 6? Somebody talk to me. Have I said up to 6? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's look at that. Okay, so I've looked at okay, there's even underline, right? As much as possible, there's even underline, and I missed it, right? There's underline right here. How did I miss it? Okay, so we have that there as well as possible. So let's move on. So right here is a tab, right? A tab for each of them. Probably this is like 2 centimeter. I think a centimeter tab. Okay, all right. Write down the type of interface shown. Okay, this brings us to the very first chapter in our textbook. To be more precise, the topic of that chapter is literally right there in the textbook. Is I think computer system, the types. Can't remember. You see there your chapter 1 that talks about your computer systems and their types. And in that chapter 1, you're going to see user interface. Okay, user interface, and we have 4 types of, or 4 examples of user interface, right? And we have the first one we have is the command line interface, what you call the CLI. We have the GUI interface, which is a graphical user interface. We have the dialogue-based user interface. And finally, we have the gesture-based user interface. Very, very important. And each of them, one of them makes of command. Usually, questions come out, they talk about the differences between CLI and GUI. Rarely do you have questions on the dialogue or the gesture based. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's no time. We're having an exam tomorrow. So I'm just going to say right there real quick, just straight up, right? Now, for the dialogue, you are communicating with the computer with your voice, right? It is, you have a software that activates your voice. You can be able to communicate with the computer using your voice. And we have a good number of examples, common and popular example like your Amazon Alexa. We have your iPhone Siri. You have your Google Assistant. Okay. Then you have your Microsoft Cortana. Okay, as much as possible. Your gesture is based on the movement of your hands and your feet. So you are controlling the part of the computer using your hands or your feet. Okay. For the GUI, right, your graphical user interface is based on the following feature called the WIMP, which simply means your Windows icon, menu, and pointing device. Okay, and your GUI is strictly based on what your command. That simply says that for you to be able to interact with the system, you should be able to familiarize. You are interacting with them with your command. So it's simply as much as possible. Every time you're carrying out an operation, you're carrying out typing in those commands. What are the drawbacks? I'm just going to give it to you real straight from the textbook. You will have difficulties remembering those commands. Another thing is that whatever you delete from the CLI, it's gone. There's no recycling because you are interfacing with the computer. But another good thing is that there is no limit because you are able to redefine certain features or certain instructions in a computer. Okay, then of course your GUI, you don't have to remember, you don't have to literally remember any form of codes because then again it's accessible to just interact because of what the icons. And what are icons? Icons are graphical representations of your applications. Okay, so they can be in pictures or symbols. Okay, Mr. Jai is saying too much. Just slow down. Can you just slow down? I'll just show you from the textbook, right? So you see. Okay. Chapter 1, the textbook, chapter 1 in the textbook. Chapter 1. Right here, 1 point. Okay, right here, right? For those who are like, oh, this man is just too fast. It's going like flash. I'm not, right? Trust me, right? You know all this, right? I'm trusting if you're right here, you've read the textbook to a large extent, so you know what I'm talking about. Trust me, right? So it's right here, the command line. Just for the sake of the exam, you can just look at the differences. You might not really have to bother yourself about this. Just look at the interface, the advantages, disadvantages, GUI, advantage, disadvantage, and you know that's all you have to read about the CLI. How cool is that? I've talked about the dialogue, so don't have to stress yourself about that. I've talked about the gestures as well, so that's fine. So let's go back to the question. So write down the type of interface shown. So what type of it? What's the type of it? Somebody help me. So what's the type of interface shown? And it's just one mark.
Command line.
Yeah, the command line, right? Or to be more precise, the command line interface. You don't just say command line, right? You CLI. So it has to be, if you say command line, it's one mark, right? So probably you just let it slide, but it's command line interface as much as possible. Let's talk about the two disadvantages of using this type of interface. Two disadvantages of using this type of interface. I've literally talked about the disadvantages, okay? And one of the disadvantages is that it is very, very difficult memorizing what commands. It's very difficult, right? Memorizing commands. So that is actually a drawback if you want to look at it, right? It's actually a drawback, okay? We can actually see it there, okay? So what other disadvantage, okay? Now, notice that whenever you, and I'm just going to show this real quick, don't have to. Just want to show this real quick so you see what I'm talking about. Now, as much, of course, I'm in a gyro and I can change this if I want. Sorry, that should be a dot. See what I'm talking about? You just have to, and then if you want to go back to a gyro, you just have to say, right? And this, the seed in between means change directly. So you have to remember them as much as possible. Now I have to talk about CD OneDrive. And here am I, and there I do my DR. So you can see that it's not easy. Literally, it's not easy, right? Because you have to memorize this. And then if you want to clear your screen, you do all this, right? So it's a lot. Okay. But then again, okay, it is difficult to edit. Now, once it has been typed in, you can't go back to edit it. Once you've typed it in, you can't just go back to edit it. You can, least you can do is probably to clear your screen. Okay, the least you can do is to clear your screen. Okay, and that is what we are talking about as much as possible. Okay, all right. So I'm not saying you cannot edit it, you can, but it's difficult to edit it once you've typed it in. Okay, so you need to know that. And then again, you have to type it accurately because, see, I tried it and I did something like this. It's not going to work. You have to type it accurately. It's not like, for this, for example, you want to print, just click on print and I'll print. I don't have to think about what to print. And sometimes they get funny with questions like this. They can draw up some shapes and tell you to identify them. So this, for example, is print. This is what? Save as. Okay. Obviously, you should know this is setting as much as possible. So that's easy peasy. That's like two free marks, right? And you have not literally talked about anything. Now, the next one is complete the following sentences using the most appropriate network term. Now, another thing I said, if you've been watching my videos consistently about the past papers I've been doing, you will know that there are some questions I don't answer. Not because I don't want to answer them, but because it's not relevant to what you're going to write tomorrow. Right? This is a new syllabus. Okay? So even when we are answering questions on past papers, not every question we get to answer because they are not even in the textbook anymore. They're in second edition. And you can't be reading second edition. Like literally, you cannot be reading second edition. Because you see, you have to read, your questions are going to be set based on the recent syllabus. Okay? Now, so network 10. The network. So we're talking about networks here, and that is chapter 4. Okay, networks. I think network devices and uses, or network devices and media, as the case may be. Network devices and media. Oh boy. Okay, so a communication method that wirelessly connects a mobile phone to a car to allow hands-free use of the mobile phone is. Now, not all the time they're being completing. It's not all the time. And notice that the structure of the question is based on the content of the textbook. So this is the version of this in the second edition. So I understand if you've not seen something, if you're reading chapter 4 and you've not actually seen this in this fashion, I get it, right? No need to be scared, and that's why you're having this class right now. Okay, so we'll talk about a communication method. Now, there are two methods that connect wirelessly. Talking about your wireless communication, the two of them. We have the wireless fidelity and we have the Bluetooth. So which is it? A communication method that wirelessly connects a mobile phone to a car. If you're connecting a mobile phone to a car to allow the hand-free use of the mobile phone. Now, one way to get this done, probably if you've been with your dad's car and probably you've seen your dad connecting his car with his phone, right? So obviously you see that this is possible by Bluetooth. Okay. Now, the next one is a network device. Now, okay. No rush. Let's talk about Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. That's the only lessons we have in the class, right? So we get to explore them. Okay. Now let's talk about the differences between them. In terms of the transmission frequency, for Bluetooth, it's 2.4 gigahertz. For Wi-Fi, we have 3. 2.4, 3.6, 5.0. Boy, you got it. Okay. Okay. Then, in terms of connection, for Bluetooth can connect up to, okay? I'm saying this straight from the textbook, up to, right? 7, okay? Then for your Wi-Fi, it depends on the port, right? It depends on the range, not just the range, but it can connect more than 7, okay? The Wi-Fi will connect, but then again, it depends on the port as much as possible. I think I was up to something there about range. Okay. I think I was talking about range. Now for the range, I think for Bluetooth, it's within the range of, okay, for those of you who are going to your textbook to see what this man is about to say, okay, and I have students who do all the time. Let me see what you see next. Okay, all right. I think it's within the range of 100 meters. Okay, so you probably could just raise your hand if I'm wrong, right? But I think it's within the range of 100 meters. Then for the Wi-Fi, it's less than 1 kilometer, right? Okay. They both uses a form of security, okay? Especially the WPA, okay? They both use a form of level of security. They're both secured, so that's actually a good thing. It's literally in chapter 4. You've literally not read far. You're going to see Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's right there. Textbook stuff, right? Now, a network device that allows a standalone computer using a dial-up analog connection to connect to an ISP is a. I would not like to answer this question because it's not part of the syllabus. Okay, it's not part of it. Okay, I will love as much as possible to skip. But then again, we'll talk about the network device that allows a standalone. Do I have the second edition here? I think there were some students that were just doing compare and contrast. The students here, I was just showing them what is in second edition and what is second edition that is not. It was like a game, right? What's in the second edition that is not in the third edition? I thought I had it here. Okay, it's not here. Okay, but it's fine. So it's not part of it, right? But then again, it's in modern. Modern stands for modulation and demodulation. So you're not going to see it. Okay, you're not going to see it, right? When one is converting from digital to analog and analog to digital. Okay, and then you have the send and receive. Okay, it's fine. All right. Come in. Give me a minute to just bring the list here. Okay, so we are back, right? Just a quick all right, so let's get back to it. All right, let's get back to it. Now, a network device that allows a LAN to connect to the internet. Okay, I promised I was going to show you the second edition. I'm not even going to show you, like, literally, you don't really need it for anything right now, right? But just to compare some things that are not there in case I'm missing out some. That's the second edition. I think the second edition is here. Second edition, yep. You see, it was actually to show some people. Speaking about, I mean, where I went, we just comparing. So you can actually see what I'm talking about here, the modem. So it's right here, right? But it's not in the third edition. So you don't have to worry about this. All this was taken off. That's saving you stress. The exam is simple. You're in fertile grounds, right? They don't want to stress it. All right. All right. So another device that allows LAN to connect to the internet is now. Let's talk about real quick. Okay, those network devices. Hub, right? Let's start with Hub. Now, in the case of Hub, do I have pictures to show you? Hub, pictures to show you real quick. Now, okay, Hub is right here, right? Now, another thing to say about Hub is that they are hardware devices. They are hardware, they are network devices, but they are hardware. You can see them, right? Now, what a Hub is, it can connect numbers of computers, right, to form what we call a local area network within the same building, right? Okay. Now, the issue with Hub is that whatever message that is sent to the Hub is broadcast to every of your node, what you call computer. Okay, and you can see that data sent out to all devices connected to the Hub in the network. That is the Hub. Okay, for switch, the switch is an intelligent version of the Hub right here. Intelligent version of the Hub. They do this. They do the same function of the Hub, but then again, this is where it gets really, really interesting. They have or they store a MAC address, what you call your lookup table. And what a MAC address is, I don't want to sex your brain too much. Let me just break it down. This is last minute wash, last minute final revision. Let's just break it down. When we talk about the MAC address are the address found on your network interface card, right? But it's different from the internet protocol address because that's the address found on the network. But for the MAC address, it's an address found on your network interface card. It is permanent in nature. But your internet protocol changes as you change the location to another location. So if you are probably in a cafe, an IP address is being assigned to you in that location. If you go to probably Starbucks, right? An IP address will be assigned to you. If you're going to probably Prince Ebano and you're probably connecting there, it's going to be assigned to you. Okay, all right. Simple as that. Okay, so one good thing about the switch is whatever information or data is being sent to the switch and to a particular node, it sends that information to what? To that computer, that information is designated what? For. As simple. Then for bridge, on the other, this is what bridge does. The function of bridge is to connect both or to connect multiple LANs to function as what? A single LAN. For example, you have various campuses in the UK. Let's talk about University of Nottingham, right? Or whatever university you want to talk about. They have multiple campuses. Now they have what we call a local area network. Now what connects them to a single LAN to connect to the internet is a bridge. So all those LANs will now be connected to the port of what? The bridge. But mind you, for each of those, we'll come to that. Let's take it one step at a time. Now, then the next one is the router. Now, this is what the router does. The router will now connect, right, that LAN to the internet. In fact, to an external network, right here. This is your router. Okay. To do this, each router has its own IP. We have it knows, but the router are used to join what? A LAN to what? To the internet. As simple as that. Okay. But concerning about the network, there's something I want to talk about. Skip my mind, but I want to talk about it. Seen it somewhere. It can be dicey sometimes, but I want to talk about it. I think I saw it in this edition, and I want to really talk. I want to talk about this. Is it here? No. Okay, let me go down. I think I'll see it here. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. It's that one is the Wi-Fi. Right? We'll talk about our APs. For you to be able to connect to the internet, talk about your AP access point, so it's fine. Right? All right, so let's go back to the question. So a network device that allows a LAN to connect to the internet, we now know what the answer is, right? A router. A wireless communication method used in your WLAN, which is what? Your wireless what? Local area network. Will that be what? Who can help us? Your Wi-Fi. Remember I said a wireless communication. Wireless. We have two types now. We talk wireless communication, we have two types. Let me show you from the textbook. Wireless communication. So you see what I'm talking about. Look at it. Both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth offer what? Wireless communication. Simple. They offer what? Wireless communication. Okay. Want to make sure that I'm actually recording this. Right. A teacher is creating a spreadsheet. I will record the grade students achieve the reset test and compare the average grade of the test with the student forecast grade. The grading teacher is using to award 1 for the highest and 10 for the lowest. Teacher has created a validation rule on the grade enter. Talking about validation routine, you see that in chapter 7. I mean, give examples of data used to test the what? Validation rule. So to give examples of data used to what? Test the validation rule. Your answer for abnormal test data must be different for a different reason in each case. Okay, now they're just playing with words. Okay, so they have given you 1 to 10 now. So for normal data will what? It's just format. For 1, 1, 1, just 1, 1. It's not hard. Now let's talk about normal. You will see this in chapter 7. We're still on chapter 7. Abi, this is chapter 7, but in different phase. This phase is what? Development and testing. It has been developed. Fine. Let's test it. Unit testing has been done. Integration testing has been done. Now let's test it with what? With live data. Normal data falls with what? Within the range of what? Acceptability. Simple. Abnormal, they are outside that range of what? Validity or what? Acceptability. Extreme, they are the boundary or the limit of acceptability. Life is not hard. We know what it is. Let's talk about the examples. So example of normal data, 5. Abnormal, -1. Okay. Another abnormal again, 12. Or you can spell it, O-N-E. You want to do that. Extreme, okay. 1. Student having 1/10 is extreme. I don't like using 10/10, right? So 1. They say I should mention. So 1. It has just 2 end values. It's either 1 or it's either at the highest or what? The lowest. That's extreme. 2 end values. And like that, free formats, free. Okay. So it simply means that chapter 7, we are expecting things to come from there, right? So that should be like a straight up question for you. Now they are bringing question in Excel. They have done it. So let's look at it. Part of the spreadsheet is shown. Column G, this column G right here. So this is differences. So let's look at it. Exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, average, forecast. So average minus forecast will give you what? 1. Will give you the answer. So they are okay. Describe the step the teacher can take to do what? To edit the spreadsheet. Where have I gone to? Yes. Okay, to edit the what? The spreadsheet, to prevent what? New data being typed into what? The forecast grade. To prevent. Let's look at it. Teacher can take to edit the spreadsheet to prevent. So they don't want any new data to be typed in. They want to lock this in. So what do we do? Now the first thing we'll do is we right click and click on format cell. Click. We can click on, I think, protection to prevent new data being typed in. Okay, now to being typed in, they want to look at how to lock it, Abi. So to lock it, we're going to highlight what? What are we highlighting? Cell F3 to what? 6. Abi? Then click what? Lock the cell. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm looking at if what did this man say? Let me show you. And let's do this. 3, 6, 7, something like this, right? I can highlight on this, right click. And right here, I'm going to click on what? Format cell. Protection. Locked. Okay. It didn't work. Let me see this. Let me go to review. Okay, protect sheets. Okay, range. I'm going to click allow. These are new versions. So I'm going to click allow edit range. Then click on new. So what is the range? So I can call this. Let's go back to, I'll call this what? Forecast grade. I hope you are seeing the steps to do that. Forecast grade. Then I can select this, Abi. Done. Range password. Mind Jesus. Right? Jesus is the password. Enter again. Jesus. Okay, now it's done. I'm going to apply it and I'm going to click on OK. Now, this cell cannot be edited. Okay, that's because it's me. Right? Let me see. Let me protect the sheet. Sorry. So I'll click on protect the sheet. This is just to lock the cell. Let me see. Let me remove edit. So if this were to be another user, he or she will not have the access to be able to what? Can you see that? If I want to click on number, it will tell me enter password to change the cell. That's what it's going to show me. But for other ones, I can type whatever I want to type. Maybe I've also protected the sheet. Let me see. This to protect the sheet. Let me see. Permissions. Now this is for me. And this is just for me. But if we're to be another user, they will not have access because this has been what edited with what Okay, let me click on. Okay, so you have to enter a password. Now, the one I did now does not give you access to even select any cell, right? So you have the options of what are you doing? I'm selecting on a locked cell and automatically a locked cell. Edit object as much as possible. So if you want to edit anything, right, you have to put in your password to be able to do that, right? So for this, other ones is showing me, but when it comes here and you want to edit anything, you have to type in the password to be able to make changes. I needed to just explain this to you guys. All right. The next one is the teacher has typed a formula in cell E3. Where is E3? That's average grade. The formula is round up average B3 to what? D3. B3 to D3, okay? So we are, if you look for the average, then you can now round it up. So in the roundup, we have number, how many what digits? I mean now, explain in details what the formula does. It's quite simple. See, I will be so happy if they are bringing practical questions in the exam, because it's so easy, because it's practical work. It's what you have done. The brain is still fresh on paper 2 and paper 3, so you don't even know what to do. Just by looking at it, you don't even have to think about the textbook. So the first thing it does is what? It will select what? The B3 to what? The D3. That's the first thing. Abi? Now the next one is what? Is to solve for the average. To calculate for the average. Once calculate for the average, right, of what? B3 to what? Of that range of what? B3 to what? D3. The next thing is going to round it up to how many decimal place? 0 decimal place. That's simple. The teacher has produced a graph showing differences between forecast grade and what? The average grade for each student. One is forecast grade, one is average grade. Let's look at it. Forecast grade. Oh, the difference between the forecast grade. So that's difference. Okay. Describe the step taken to create the graph. Include in your answer 3 improvements that could be made to the graph. Okay. Let's look at those improvements that can be made to the graph. So the first thing we're going to do is watch. Look at this. Can you see the names? You are going to highlight A3 to A6 first. You know how you do, normally you know how you do it now in presentation. This is not what this is paper 2. What we are doing now is paper 2 in presentation. So you highlight the name of the student first. Okay, then you highlight the differences. Simple. That's the first one, right? And then you click on what? Insert. Once you click on insert, what next you do? You click on what? 2D. Right? I've often said the graph should be what? 2D. 2D pie chart, 2D bar chart, a 2D background. Now, what are the improvements that needs to be made? Let's look at the improvement. The improvement that needs to be made. There's no chart title. Wow. No chart title. I would love to see the data labels outside on each bar. It's not a crime to add a legend if you want to. You can add colors to it if you want. Now, there's no category. There's no axis title. You know, axis title, we have primary, horizontal, and primary vertical. You check it to your Excel. I'm using Excel for example. So primary horizontal is the one at your category name. Then primary vertical is your axis title. You don't even have it. Not there. What kind of graph is this one, though? Like that. Just like that, you are done with the question. You have not even thought about anything. 6 marks. You have not thought about anything. I've got your 6 marks. The next one is FTP. When you use the internet, FTP can be used. That is chapter 10. All this network communication, that's all part of communication, FTP. Now, what does FTP means? You start with the first thing. When they give you any acronym like this, the first thing that comes to mind is what? The name. What does FTP mean? FTP means File Transfer Protocol. Like I said, chapter 10. Let me show you. Chapter 10. But this is our monitor phone. Please go through it too. In case they just give you some free mark. FTP. It's right here. Under protocol. We have HTTP, right? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. FTP is here. Look at it. Is this for what? Transferring files from one computer to another computer over the internet. Simple. Simple. Not killing yourself. If you are using Zender, you know what I'm talking about. There's any student that uses Zender, you know now. I don't have to. You just have an idea what I'm talking about, right? That's what they are, right? It's a network protocol. It's similar to HTTP, but it's just specially for what? Transfer of what? Files. Simple. Okay. Now another thing is, yeah, and you have an example there as well. We have an example there as well. So this secure socket layout, you see it in chapter 10 and also chapter 8, under security of data. So whichever one you want to have fun with, if it's in chapter 10 or chapter 8, is your choice, right? So secure socket layout talks about that. It's going to make the your website to be secure by adding a certificate, right, to what your website to ensure your website is free. It will encrypt it from any form of what hackers. Oh, Skylim, I didn't see your chat there. Right? All right. Okay. Let's go back to the question. Smishing and phishing can affect the security of user data. Smishing, phishing, vishing. Okay. All the she. All right. All right. So, all right. Chapter 8. Security of data. Straight up. Security of data. In fact, the more you open security of data, you see what you just see it. You don't have to start, you don't have to kill yourself. I don't open security of data. Please open, you see it. It's there. You see your, in fact, it starts with hacking. That's the first thing, hacking. Hacking will just welcome you. What is hacking? Gaining unauthorized access. Either to a website or to someone's computer unauthorized. The keyword there is what? Unauthorized. Then you have phishing. It's a fraudulent activity, right? That sends you what? An email, right? Or send you what? A link for an email with the sole purpose of what? Defrauding you, collecting what? Your personal information. Then what about smishing? It is said in the textbook, and I'm quoting the textbook. I'm quoting British, the Cambridge curriculum. It said that in smishing, it is what? SMS what? Phishing. Simple. When links can be sent to you by text messages and what? And a generated phone number as well to call, telling you have won something that you did not work for. Okay? Just an idea, right? This is the voicemail, right? A voicemail you get telling you to call this number as much as possible. All right. Compare and construct. The moment you have an idea about it, you already know. Compare simply means similarities. Contrast talks about differences. Simple. And you are done with the question. There's nothing there again. Let's talk about the similarities. Now, for smishing and phishing, what can we talk about? They are used to what? Both require what? The use of what? Personal data. But they are used to collect your personal data. Because you have to enter your personal data. Sometimes they will redirect you to either a website. So, both will allow you to put in your personal data. Another thing, for identity theft. Okay. They are used for fraudulent activities. What are the constructs? Construct, you now start talking about the differences. For smishing, fake messages sent by what? SMS to your phone. For phishing, fake emails sent to what? To your computer. In smishing, they will send you a link to a website or send you a phone number to call. In phishing, they will send you what? A link that will take you to what? To a bogus website. As much as that. Simple. I think we are good to go. We are good to go there. Describe the method that will be used to prevent what? Phishing. If people are sending you website address or your email, you don't know who is sending you want to click. We saw that some few minutes ago. Right? People send you website. If you don't know who they are, don't click on them. Don't click on them. As much as possible, don't click on them. So avoid clicking on what? Links on unknown emails. Avoid it. Another one could be if they are found in your spam folder, then it's phishing. You just know. Now, any email that tells you to respond quickly, but that's a sign, no? Right? Then another one is, although this might not be verified, but there's always a saying that, and it's from the textbook from second edition. There's always a saying that if there's a grammatical mistake, can be phishing. Although even genuine ones can also be some errors in typing. If the email sounds too good to be true, you have won a contract, you have won this, you have won that, then it's phishing. What did not work for? They say you have won a Ferrari. Hey, you have won Bugatti. Bugatti come. I want Bugatti. I want to celebrate. Then you pour champagne and be celebrating. They will not tell you to send money for the shipping fee. What shipping fee? Did you buy a car that I want to do shipping fee? Okay. Then check the time the email is sent. Okay. That's another way to see it. Okay. Any email that asks of anything personal from you is phishing. Block, delete. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Complete each sentence using the most appropriate output from the following list. Then I've given you a list. Let's complete it. Device that can produce prosthetic limb is called what? Now, you will see this in, I'll give you 2 chapters, you will see this. Chapter 2. Under output devices. In fact, we have the following printers: watch, LaserJet, inkjet, and 3D printer. More or less, we can say 3D inkjet printer. They are used to produce what? Solid object. That 3D printer. Hey, sorry, dot magic. Got you dot magic. See me, right? I think dot magic is used in a noisy environment. Yes, a noisy environment. Okay. Inkjet is used for homes because they print low, they print high quality but low volume of printing. Later, on the other hand, print high volumes of numbers of printing, but the quality is not as the inkjet printer. Okay. Device that can output soft copy is what? Obviously, if it's on your screen, it's soft copy. If it's printed, it's hard copy. So that tells you what else? LCD what? Monitor. Talking about the LCD, talking about monitor, we have the following screens on monitor. We're still on output. We have this cathode ray tube. Then we have your liquid crystal display. Then we have your LED, light emitting diode. So look it up. Okay, it's simple. Just 1 or 2 lines, you are done. Device that can produce sound, and this main output is called what? A buzzer. A buzzer sound. Although you see it in chapter, you see in second. I didn't see it. It's not there in the 3rd edition, but it's there in 2nd edition. Where is buzzer? Six pages to go. Tablet computers tend to be used more than desktop. Describe the advantages and disadvantages of using a tablet computer rather than a desktop computer. Now, you will see this in chapter 1. In fact, the first one is desktop computer. The second, another subtopic is what? Mobile computers. And mobile computers, we have the following. Number 1, laptop computers. Number 2, I want to say the way it is in the textbook. Laptop, smartphone, phablet, tablet. The difference between the smartphone, phablet, and tablet is the inches. For smartphones, they are 5.1 inch. They are 5.1 inches. But if it's been in the range of 5.1 to 7, it's phablet. Then if it's outside of 7, it's tablet. That's how you know it. So you know it's in the smartphone, it's in the phablet. So let's talk about the advantages of a tablet computer rather than a desktop computer. Let's look at it. Now, what are the advantages? Usually there is, you see in your textbook about the advantage of what? Laptop over desktop. But the same thing about laptop, you see the same thing about desktop. But we use laptop and desktop similarities, and I'll add to it. Now, for laptop and tablet, are they portable? Yes. Desktop is not portable. It is here. Bam, is here. still, it can occupy a lot of space. Okay? In terms of network, the flexibility is there because you can access wireless networks in various locations, unlike your desktop. Another thing is, for tablets or laptops, they are powered by battery. Desktop is not powered by battery. You just plug it straight to the socket. Okay. We've talked about the internet connection. It's more what? It's better as the device is portable. Okay. Heat generation is low in laptop and tablet than what desktop. Although disadvantages, it's not easier to upgrade though. That is advantage. It's very easier to upgrade because they're all embedded, unlike desktop, like we have to upgrade. Now, tablets are easy to. You cannot steal desktop. Oh. How many do you want to steal? Maybe that came out wrong, right? But for tablet, it's easier. Where's my tablet? Where's my tablet? It's gone. Okay. Now, another thing is the battery can run out. Okay, the battery can run out. Okay. Then the screens are smaller. It's tablet now. And of course, the keyboards tends to be touch screen. Right? Remember, I'm not talking about buying an external keyboard. External keyboard does not come with tablet. You have to buy it. It's a different component. We're talking about tablets. Let's know the difference. That's why I said we use some similarities, tablet and laptop, but when it comes to differences, we have to just put it separate. Okay. There is no mouse, so therefore it's pointing. You have to use your hand, which is not easy to use. You can see just by thinking. I'm looking at my laptop. I'm just picturing the fact that let's assume it's a tablet. What are the difficulties? Okay. Another one is for desktop, right? For tablet, it's easier. It's easier. It's in fact, it's easy to damage. Unlike desktop. It falls on the floor. Bam, bye-bye. Buy a new one. It falls. Burn. Microsoft Surface 8 Pro gone. Screen of how much? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. People rely heavily on microprocessor control devices in the home. Siri, Alexa, are you on the AC? Alexa, on TV. You rely, okay, heavily. You know, and this is chapter what? 5. The effect of what? Using IT. Okay, the effect of what? Using IT. You see the effect of using IT. And it's put into 2 groups. What are those groups? We have labor saving and others. Describe 2 drawbacks. Please, somebody sent a question to me about autonomous. Without autonomous as well. What about autonomous vehicles? These are vehicles that can be driven on their own now. It's there in chapter 5. Just go through it. 1, 2 lines, you are done. Yeah, we can see that we're almost done with the textbook. We have touched on certain areas in the textbook. About paper 3. We have not seen question of paper 3 to touch, right? We need something to touch it there, right? So now let's look at this. 2 drawbacks in terms of lifestyle changes That's lifestyle changes. Describe two drawbacks in terms of lifestyle changes this has produced for users of such devices. Drawbacks, laziness. That's the first thing. Alexa, on AC. Alexa, on TV. Very soon you tell Alexa, go to school for me. Okay? Who are getting to that stage? Alexa will be going to school for you. Alexa, read for me. I have exam tomorrow. Laziness. It can lead to laziness. That's the first thing I can think of. Okay? Now, because of Alexa, tell the robot to do this. Or your own remote. Click on the vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner will be cleaning for you. You have a smart fridge to order for you. If you have a robot that is serving you, finish. This will make you to lose the basic household skills. Many children don't know how to do work at home because they have relied heavily on these microcontrol devices. So they don't know how to do work at home. A simple, let me make the house look neat. Problem. If these devices are not there, okay. What about the smart fridge? You order anything, eat anything to cause lack of fitness because you're not doing exercise. Early morning, right here in the Lekki Expressway, the Lekki Phase 1 Expressway, you see some very, very young, vibrant men and women doing exercise. Okay. But when you rely on this, it's going to cause that, right? All right. Many of the microcontrol devices in our homes use Wi-Fi connections. Obviously, they do that. Despite the benefits and drawbacks of using Wi-Fi connections in this way. Let's start with the benefits because for a minute, it felt like I've been saying all the drawbacks. Let's talk about the good side, right? You can use your smartphones to connect them. You can use your smartphone as remote to control your TV. Your doors can be more secured. Okay? Now, you can use voice control to activate a lot of devices. Alexa, do this. Alexa, do this. It's wireless. So there's no wires. So there is no form of tripping hazard. There's no form of tripping hazard. What about the drawbacks? Can be affected by weather. When it's Wi-Fi, weather is terrible with Wi-Fi. People can hack it. Can be hacked. Can be hacked. Okay? Security issues as much as possible. What these 6 marks? I think I've said up to 6 now. Okay. Power is also an issue because it's Wi-Fi. Power is also an issue. Question 10. This one is also chapter 6. So it's still about microcontrol devices. Chapter 10. Music scores can now be produced using computer system and appropriate softwares. Describe the feature of this technology. Music scores. That's ICT application. No? This question when it comes out. Really. What does it mean that as you are playing the music, it can be generating the notes? You generating the notes. Is it solo or whatever kind of music? You can transfer it to many parts. right? In the studio, you can have a voice, let that voice be the lead singing, then create another channel for another voice, and then you can break it into parts. Okay? You can edit or correct the music scores. Okay, so there's so many things to do about it. These are producers who can use it, right? These are for music producers. Head teacher is planning to produce a presentation to showcase the school achievement. Describe 2 methods the head teacher could use to gather information about the requirement of the target audience. Chapter 9 of the textbook, audiences. 2 methods. What we can use to gather information, I'll tell you right now, there are 2 things, 2 and 2 alone. Interviews and questionnaires. Let me show you. Chapter 9 in the textbook. 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 9 in the textbook. 9 in the textbook. 9 in the textbook. All right, 9 in the textbook. All right. Look at it. How can you find out about the characteristics of your audience? The following are just some of the market research techniques you might employ to identify the characteristics of what your target audience. What are you seeing there? Interview and what? Even our questionnaires. Only 2. They cannot ask you more than that. Only 2. Your textbook is only 2. I don't need to check the mark. It's 2. And I'm even happy they will say 2. They know it's only 2. Okay? All right. The next one is the presentation is to be shown on large monitors. Large monitors at the entrance of the school. The school is planning to embed music into the presentation so that music could be played and the presentation is shown. Watch what they have done. No? Question 9, question 19. Good. I've got the presentation. Hallelujah. I've got the presentation. Okay. Now, describe the steps the head teacher would need to take to play music in the background of the slide. How do you play background in the slide? Let's look at this. The first thing you're going to do is PowerPoint. I like showing practical. You derive the step yourself. Click on Insert. Click on Audio. Do I have any? Okay, I have one here. Can you see that? Can you see the steps I went to? Now, that is me inserting it at the background. But if I want to put it as a transition, this is what I will do. I can do play across slides. Okay? Or look at it, play in background. So watch this. It will play on its own. So to make it play at the background, right? So that this will not show. If I click play at the background, it will play across slide. So if I do like this, you will not see it. If I create another slide and I add a transition, the first one, where it is that? Let me click on it, play back, play in the background. If I click there, here again, can you see that? So that's it. But if I want to make it as a transition, okay, and I want to apply it, I'll click here under sound, and I can put breeze. Let's see. Can you see? That's another way. But if I want to put the one day, or let's say they have something, I can click other sound, and then I can now add this one here. So let me do this one. So let me start the slide again. Can you see? So there are so many ways to play it in the background. So many ways. And my work is to show you how that can be done. Okay. So in the slide one, you click what? Insert. Click audio. Locate the music on your PC, and then click play what? Background. If you want to add the transition, select the transition and then select the sound and choose what? Other sound. So many ways. You get your marks. Simple, simple, simple. 4 marks. Free format. After showing the presentation to the parents, the head teacher wishes to show the presentation to what? To young children. To encourage them to come to school. Come to school. We want to encourage young children to come to school. This we have left, we have digressed from chapter 19 back to chapter 9. That's why I love their questions. It's actually very fun. If you're the type that loves reading, right? And the one thing I like about the third edition is that look at the second edition. The feel is not really there in the second edition, but the third edition is actually more slicker, especially the soft copy as well. Whether you have a hard copy, you have a soft copy, it's well detailed, so easy. Just it makes it so easy and it's interactive as well. Okay. All right, that's it. Describe the picture that the head teacher. Yes. Describe the feature that the head teacher must include to do what? To make the presentation meet the needs of an audience of young children. If children, there should be transition effect. There should be different music. There should be music on it. There should be sound. Your presentation should be short. There should be more images. Different fonts, larger fonts. Okay. Fonts that are easy to read. These are children. Something that will make it catchy for them is there in your chapter 9. Go to chapter 9, you see it. It's there in chapter 9. What I'm saying now, you see chapter 9. All right. We're almost done, right? Give 3 ways of minimizing the risk of the RSI. Chapter 5. I'll go back to chapter 5. But the last page of the chapter 5, we are going to see what we call a repetitive strain injury. What are the 3 ways of minimizing it? What are those 3 ways of minimizing it? There are so many things to talk about this. Oh, I've missed a question. Yeah, sorry. I saw B. I was wondering if I've talked about it. Describe repetitive strain injury and explain what causes it. So what is repetitive strain injury? Repetitive strain injury is when you are damage to what? Finger and what? Wrist. Or damage. You see in chapter 5. Look at it. Damage to what? Finger and what? Wrist. That's what it is. No 2 ways about it. You don't need to read too much. Damage to fingers and wrist. That's all. Caused by what? Continuity of what? Keyboard and clicking. Dragging mouse up and down. That's why it is so simple. Right? Then explain what causes it. I've explained what causes it. The question is self-explanatory. It's caused by what? Continuous typing of the keyboard. Continuous use of the keyboard, continuous use of the mouse. Continuous use of typing of the keyboard, continuous of what? Clicking of the mouse. Dragging of the mouse. So how do we minimize this? Use ergonomic what? Keyboard. Use tracker ball. Instead of typing, use voice activated software. Microsoft Container is there now. What again? Let me go back to the question. Let me go back to it. Take frequent breaks. It's fine. Take frequent breaks. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, do we have? Okay, so it's fine. All right. Compare. Sorry, say compare. Modern laptops, computer tend to use what? External solid state storage rather than external optical storage. Okay, now. Do you know what I mean? External, either you're using external HDD or external SSD over external CD or DVD. Simple. That's what they mean first. And you will see that in chapter 3. First, talking about storage devices and media. Okay, so that's the first one. Before you start thinking about other things, compare and construct the use of what? Solid state storage with the use of what? Optical. Now we're talking about the solid state, that's SSD. Okay, we use of optical storage to what? To store data. So let's talk about them. Now, the first one, let's look at this. Let's compare them. Now, if we are comparing them, that's similarities. What do they use to store? How many marks? 8 marks. Wow, free 8 marks. Okay, what do they use to store? You can store video now. Have you? Can store music. They can be used as backing storage. They are portable. Can move around with them. Simple. Then let's talk about the construct. For optical, they are what? Your CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays. For your solid state, they are what? Your flash drives and SSD. Your flash drives and SSD. Which is what? Your memory stick. A good example of a flash drive. Your pen drive is a good example of a flash drive. What again? Your solid state storage has more data access time than what? The optical. What is data access time? No, the number of time it will take you to be able to access the file. That's what it means. SSD also have data transfer files. It's very to transfer files with SSD is faster than CD. Don't forget a CD now. CD can be easily scratched. Abi? And SSD makes you of lower power consumption. This is in chapter 3, storage devices and media. There are two types of storage within a computer. Internal memory. What are the internal memories? RAM and ROM. Simple. RAM means random access memory. ROM means ROM read-only memory. The random access memory are what? Temporary memories. The read-only memory are what? Permanent memories. Abi? Now, in the RAM, I want to quote your textbook. It is stated that the information stored on them and lost what is the power failure, which is true. But when the read-only memory, information stored on them are more permanent in nature. They cannot be altered, easily altered. That is for data configuration. Okay. Then your backing storage are what? Watch this. Portable. Not fixed. Okay. Portable. Okay. So we have the portable hard drives and we have the fixed hard drive. Fixed hard drive are the ones in your laptop. The portable are the ones that are the external. You also see this in chapter 3, but for the internal memory, you can also see it in chapter 1. So it all depends on which one you understand better. Is it chapter 1 or chapter 3? For the internal memory, then you now come back to backing storage, which is in chapter 3. Do you even have backing storage in chapter? No, in chapter 3. Okay, you can see the textbook is cited. That's why I tell my students, read. They think maybe I don't want to. When you read, you go to the exam hall. You don't even need to do past paper. If you read the textbook, go to the exam hall, smile. In 40 minutes, less than 40 minutes, you are done. The examiner will shout, Jesus, you are done. I say, yes. Okay. All right. So let's look at the differences between them. Difference between internal memory and what? The backing storage. Now, the first thing you look at is, I've said so many differences here. So that the one I've said, one first. Backing storage is what? They are used to store information that are permanent. But for the internal memory, what are they used for? They are used to store applications that are currently running. Another difference is that the backing storage has more storage capacity than what? The internal memory. Backing storage has what? The access time of backing storage is slower than that of the internal memory. Okay. And what again? You can break it down, what I said. You can break it down. If you don't have any point, just break them down. Internal memory is what? It's temporary. Backing storage is permanent. Okay. You can give example of your backing storage, your hard drive, your solid state drive, your optical what? Your optical disks, your optical storage as well. Even magnetic self, your backing storage. Okay. Okay, so we are done. We are officially done. So you can see that there are chapters in the textbook that I was referring you guys to. Please go through them. It's an assured. If you go through my videos in 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020, don't pass the exam. Then you need to come and meet me after the exam. Say, sir, what you said, I don't think you know what you're doing. It's an assurance. Because we are seeing similarities. So go to the exam, go 2023 to 2020. The videos are just there, right? And they are going to help you a lot, right? They're going to help you a lot. Okay. And I'm going to do that I'm going to stop recording.